Welcome back to the Community Review on Hot 92.3. I'm host Epha Salinas, your host. Well, it's the time of year where we do a lot of reflecting on 10 years ago, the state of the country at that point, where it's gone from then, and where we're headed. An amazing documentary is out there. You have to see it. It tells the gripping tale of idealism, activism, crime, and ultimately betrayal. How did two boyhood friends from Midland, Texas find themselves accused of domestic terrorism? It's called Better This World. Kelly Duane de la Vega, the co-director, producer. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. It's a real pleasure to be on your show.
Well, it's wonderful to have you here, Kelly. Let's just get right down to it. What in the world, in a nutshell, if it's possible, is this documentary all about?
Well, I think you said it well. It's about two young men. It's really a fascinating story. They're childhood friends from Bush's hometown, Midland, Texas, and they encounter a radical mentor, and the three of them decide to go to the Republican National Convention to protest. They're upset about what happened post-Katrina. They're upset about the war. They're very politically impassioned. And one thing leads to another, and they build 8 Molotov cocktails, 8 homemade bombs. They don't, in fact, throw them, but they do get arrested for making them on domestic terrorism charges. So in a nutshell, it's about friendship and betrayal and this journey from political neophyte to political radical, but it's also the journey it also explores the post 9/11 security apparatus, the way the government is investigating domestic terrorism cases, and it highlights the tensions between our collective desire to be safe and our eroding civil liberties.
Okay, well, the first question I have to ask, and this is, I'm not taking one side or the other, but the first thing that just pops in my mind is, why would you head to a convention full of people with 8 Molotov cocktails?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so they didn't go to Minneapolis with 8 Molotov cocktails. They went with the intent to protest. When they went there, a whole constellation of events took place. And in a moment of political and youthful sort of fervor, they went and built Molotov cocktails, which are pretty easy to make. And they did it one evening. In the morning, they both agreed not to use them.
Okay,
and they were never used.
Okay, but I don't know, just my standpoint, me personally, if I was, going to do something and then decided not to and had something so incredibly incriminating in my hand, I probably would have disassembled it.
I think that's a really fair point, and I think that, there's a couple of things that I think you're getting at, which I think are really important, which is these two young men are not angels, and the film would never claim that. And I think that they crossed the line, absolutely. Building Molotov cocktails is a serious thing. And if you are not going to use them, I think that's also a good point. Why would you store them in the basement and go protest for the day? They woke up in the morning, they decided not to use them. They left them in the basement to be poured out later, according to them, and they, in fact, went to protest, and they were both arrested. And Bradley Crowder never entered the house again. David McKay did, but did not disassemble them.
Okay, well, that kind of leaves me kind of in a funny position. I don't want to take a position, but I'm just trying to play the devil's advocate for the person in the listening audience. There's probably immediately people on both sides, way in the extremes, and I try to stay somewhere here in the middle. And having been a person who has protested, I protested on the University of Michigan campus as a student and have protested since then about several things. You have to wonder, was the gentleman who led them astray? What was his name?
Some would say their mentor, and the gentleman they were with that was 10 years their senior, is named Mr. Brandon Darby.
Okay, Brandon Darby. You can call him mentor if you want. I'm not going to use that term. He's the one that got them all riled up, got them all politically excited about and passionate about protesting, correct?
I think it's up for interpretation, and I want to say that our film follows these two young men's journey. It also follows the FBI's journey. It has the prosecutor's voice. And this isn't a black and white story, something that you've, sort of pointed to immediately. And I think that's why it's an interesting story. The main young men are not angels, and it is complicated, and their relationship with Mr. Darby's complicated. They say he philosophically seduced them into sort of pushing their political ideas. They were interested in going to the Republican National Convention because they were angry at the direction the Bush administration was taking our country, and that was something they felt before they ever met Brandon Darby. What is sort of at issue and explored in the film is, did he push them politically farther towards something that could have been more violent versus a nonviolent approach to protest? And that is something that different people will interpret when they see the film. And as you said, there's two sides to every story.
Now, am I correct that Darby was actually a government informant?
That's right, he was. And that's sort of one of the twists in the film is that he was working as an undercover informant.
Before or after he got them all riled up and ready to go?
He was working as an informant as early as 2007. He was, in fact, tasked to attend a bookstore meeting where the RNC Welcoming Committee, which was an organization that was trying to encourage people to come to Minneapolis to protest at the Republican National Convention, put on a presentation. The FBI asked him to go to sort of see who arrived and sort of take survey of the activists that might want to protest. While there, he encountered the two young men and formed a relationship. The entire relationship developed while he was an informant.
Well, Kelly Duane de la Vega is such a fascinating documentary. It's on PBS broadcasting, and I would imagine that you're going to be able to continuously find it on PBS, correct?
I think, I'd love it if your viewers watched it and sort of explored the moral questions, which I think are presented, in fact, in relationship to each and every one of our central characters.
And where can we find more information about you and this film?
Well, you can go to PBS's website and type in Better This World. You can also find us on Facebook. If you go to Facebook and type in Better This World, you'll be able to contact us and get a great deal of information about the film and the issues it explores.
Well, thank you so much. I look forward to having more conversations with you because I have a feeling this is not the last documentary that you'll be making.
Thank you so much, and thanks for taking the time to talk about our film.
All right, Kelly, have a great day.
You too.
The 10th anniversary of 9/11. All morning, we're going to be looking at different perspectives, people who've written books, done documentaries, have started organizations, all in the hopes that somehow in these last 10 years, we've grown and we've changed. Stay tuned. There's more coming up on the Community Review, Hot 92.3.